Okay. So February 10th, COP. Do now. What was your biggest takeaway from last week's School Support Institute? What was something you took away? And you can either be in the chat or you can share out loud. What was a takeaway from School Support Institute? And my Bossier people, y'all have some directives coming for that because poor Bossier had to miss. I was heading out there. I was en route in my car, halfway to Bossier, which is 5 hours away, when they're like, it's canceled because of weather. So like, okay, turn around.
And the weather wasn't bad because I was out in it. So that's another story.
Killing me, Dr. Jordan. Killing me.
We were headed there. It wasn't a problem with us.
Lord Jesus. Well, I guess the good news is that there wasn't an issue. The bad news is I was really looking forward to seeing y'all. So I'm gonna have to get my booty up there.
Yes, ma'am, please.
Yeah, Jordan and I were talking. She sent me the little leap schedule too, so I make sure I'm not stepping on toes when I come up.
Okay. And Jordan, where are you?
I really like the tools they gave us for the literacy walkthrough.
Okay.
Those are really helpful.
What piece in particular, Melissa? Like just
the entire document.
The whole thing, right? Y'all are all at different places with your walkthroughs. So I thought that was really interesting. A piece I've done walkthroughs myself as I've participated in them as a teacher, as a coach, as an administrator at this level. And I've never done that end piece where you have that, I forget what they call it. It's the very last sheet where you look at the trends and you have all the strengths and all the weaknesses on that one document. I thought that was really powerful because a lot of times I would go through with the lens of how can I help that teacher, right? But just looking to see where you can have the most impact and what trends you're seeing across the entire campus, maybe even in certain grade bands, really told me a lot. So even from my perspective, I really enjoyed that. Thanks for sharing. And then Stacy said, looking closely at the core and using the walkthrough tool to improve and grow, supporting teachers as well, helping school find trends with glows and grows for sure. So I really enjoyed that session in particular, and I'm looking forward to session 4 with that intervention and extension piece from core. I think that's something that we can all always just grow and strengthen ourselves on. So I'm really enjoying that. Anybody else before I move on?
Well, I think my takeaway, it was more of a confirmation.
Okay.
As they were talking about the effective core instruction, it was just kind of a confirmation of the direction that we're going in here at our district, and just trying to make sure that our teachers are giving that explicit, effective core instruction. So it was more of a confirmation to us. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing, Bridget. Yeah, and that's something equally as exciting. So you're putting all this hard work into what it is that you're doing around literacy in your districts, and to hear that you're on the right page and hear that affirmation is really good, right? No worries. Okay, let's keep rolling. So our objective today is that you're going to be able to use the hexagon analysis tool to determine the effectiveness and impact of the chosen innovation. And so the hexagon analysis tool is not something that's new to our work within the CLSD UIN project, but it's supposed to be used throughout different time periods in the life of the grant or in the life of your project to determine if what you're doing is it effective? What is the impact? Should we keep rolling with that? Should we make adjustments? And I thought it was really important to revisit it now in particular before we do the expansion piece, to really making sure that your innovation is where you want it to be before you expand it. And when we're looking at the hexagon analysis tool, we first want to start with the lens of your innovation, but there's a lot of other things within literacy that the grant helps to supply at your schools and your districts as well. So it doesn't have to be just on the health of the innovation. It can also be on the health of something else that you're using the funding for. So for instance, I know that my redesign schools are really taking the money and really being intentional on this intervention piece that they're rolling out. Use it to look at that lens as well. You can use it for different aspects of your literacy practices. You can use it for any practice in your school or district, but for today's purposes, we're looking at literacy. So we're going to do an overview of the tool. We're going to talk about applying the tool to your chosen innovation. As always, we're going to have time to collaborate, and then we're going to have a closure. All right. So is your innovation currently successful, and how do you know? And again, either share in chat or out loud.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I think our innovation has grown successful at this time. And one of the things I've been noticing is the teacher buy-in for it. So, and what we've been doing pre-teaching in 2-week cycles, different strategies in 2-week cycles. And then when I have them complete a reflection form throughout that cycle, and then we come and we collaborate about how it went. And a lot of the things that they've been noticing about their students and adjusting after they pre-teach lets me know that they finally kind of have come over to the side, and they understand the true impact of pre-teaching. Could it be more successful? I still think it could be more successful because it's still not whole school, but we're gonna get there. But right now I do think we're having success with our innovation the way it's being implemented now. It just took us a little bit of time, like a trial and error period, and
Yeah.
I think we're all rolling.
It takes everybody time. Absolutely. Thanks for sharing, Jordan. And y'all are successful, not just from the teacher buy-in, but also looking at data. Congrats on having the label removed for your 2 high schools as well. That's exceptional. So thanks for sharing. Anybody else want to share?
I will. I feel like in Allen Parish that we definitely have come together around our vision, and much like Jordan, it took a little time, but I do feel like we're all starting to head in one direction because the data is showing that, and teachers are learning to look at that and use it. That was my whole goal around. It's great if I know what to do and I can do it, but I guess my biggest takeaway is that teachers are beginning to ask questions and talk about changes they can make and really focus on individual students, calling students by name. And for me, that was a huge goal. And one of the adversaries, I guess, is to get teachers using the data, not just looking at it as leaders or looking at it as master teachers or coaches or whoever was. Teachers are actually learning to look at the data. What does it mean? What does that tell me about my core instruction? And fueling that greatness and watching it grow. We definitely still have lots of room to grow, lots of changes to make, but I feel like we're starting to head in that direction. We're actually climbing the mountain now instead of just hovering around the bottom. We're actually and taking some trips and coming back down. We're starting to see some climbs, and people are jumping on board, and they can actually carry on literacy meetings without me in them. That's one thing that I'm very happy about, and just the steps moving forward are really, really impressive to see that other schools are asking, hey, what are they doing over there? Can we do some of that? And so that's, for me, that's just makes me happy to see people wanting to jump on board.
Absolutely. And y'all do a great job, Stacey, of using data across the board, like you're saying there. And one thing that did really make me exceptionally happy and proud too while I was there was not just the teachers' use of names for students, but even district, you using students' names. And where each student is. And so building this whole culture of literacy across the campus, across the district. So again, another very, very healthy innovation happening there. And Botany said, seeing student progress in the classrooms where she started to pre-teach, and the teachers seeing the benefit. And that's when the magic happens, and it takes different timelines in different places, even sometimes within different schools within the same district. But really the most success I'm seeing across this project, across the state, is those of you that are taking this project and building a culture around literacy, building common language, having all the stakeholders be a part of it. And it's really changing the trajectory. Teacher language, families using the same language, and the data growing. So it's a really exciting time for the project. And I really am so proud of each and every one of you. Anybody else want to share before I move on?
I can say were redesigned so you can see the change in our teachers. We're having those data conversations now. And they also are able to call students by name, our teachers, our foundational coaches, all the way up to our principal and district leaders. So yeah, it's a big change. Big change.
Big change. Yeah. Everybody's using the same language again and knowing those kids. Your people know those kids. And all the different stakeholders y'all have in those intervention rooms too, Melissa. I love that. From the power, you can't tell who the power is, you can't tell who the teacher is. So that's something that's really going successful there. And kudos to y'all as well. All right. So
Okay, Natalie, we would also like to add what we're doing with our parent engagement piece. We're excited because we're seeing increase in DIBEL scores, and we're directly correlating that to that parent engagement piece, because we are looking at the data, and that's how we're targeting the support that we give to our parents in order to support the students. We've hired 2 part-time parent engagement coaches who are on the ground in the schools, and they're meeting with parents individually. And we are also doing those overall parent engagement workshops, but they're digging deep, and we've provided professional development to our coaches, how to look at that data and how to plan strategies for the parents. And it's finally going well.
and I agree
And
with
the
that.
feedback.
I agree with that, ladies. I really do. One thing, EBR is the only one doing the family literacy engagement. They're looking at student data to determine what practices to show parents to help with at home, and it's tied to the curriculum. So we really need, this is the literacy, we say the literacy crisis, but it really is a literacy crisis. And in order to get out of it, we really need all of the stakeholders. And so kudos to y'all as well, because that's just really, they need that. They want, parents want to feel bought into their students too. And they don't know, 9 times out of 10, they don't know what to do, right? And so they really need to have that common language, and they need to know where they fit into their child's plan.
Right, and the feedback that we've been getting is just exciting. The workshop that we had this week, the parents were just talking about how appreciative they were of us to kind of share some of those tips and strategies to them. They were excited, and they were really excited because we always get them to share out maybe some of the things that they're doing at home. And so just for us to kind of validate the things that they were doing, to let them know that they are on the right path, it was this workshop this week was very exciting to us. Like, we really had a good time with the parents this particular workshop. They were just excited. Like, they were talking about how they're going to tell other people who are at the school, other parents, to come and make sure that they join the workshop. So it's been going really well.
I love that, Reggie. Y'all got to tell me when the next one is, because I want to come.
I wanted to add to the workshops. I'm sorry, y'all. For our parent meeting last month, we got a session for the people from Devils. So
Melissa, you're cutting out this time, sweetie. I can't hear you all the way.
can you hear me?
I can hear you a little bit better now. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, y'all. We had Louisiana Read come out and do workshops for parents, and they did it on whole group where they talked about the different skills, and then they had the hands-on session for the parents. So if y'all need anybody, Louisiana Read is really good.
So Louisiana Read worked really well with the parents there.
Yeah, they did. Parents enjoyed.
Oh, I love. Thank you for passing it on. And when we start talking about allowable expenses and money for next year towards the project, if you are already in one innovation and you want to talk about your expansion to another part, whether it's we have the pre-teaching, the family literacy engagement, and the case management, let's talk about that too, because we can also take the money and expand to a different innovation while layering it with that pre-teaching, whatever y'all are doing. We definitely can talk more about that. So thank you for sharing that, Melissa. And Stacy wants some more information on what was shared with parents. Absolutely. From EBR, and Melissa, you can share the reel with them too. Okay, so the hexagon analysis tool, when do you use it? You want to use it at any stage of a program's implementation to determine if it's a fit. Great times to use it are definitely beginning of year, middle of year, and end of year, just like you look at your data. It doesn't have to be as extensive maybe in the middle, but you want to have a pulse point because you don't want to go a whole year without looking back at something to determine if it was successful or not, right? So how do we use it? Prior to even getting this together and filling it out, you want to identify the program that's being assessed. For our purposes, this is very easy because we're going to start by assessing the innovation. We know what program needs to be assessed. You want to review the discussion questions ahead of time, just to determine, do you need to pull any data to go over in the meeting while you're meeting about the hexagon analysis tool? Or do you need to ask somebody's expert advice that's in a school or at the district level? You also want to determine the team that will analyze the program using the tool. So again, for the purposes of this, it might be pretty easy. It might just be your district-based literacy team. It might be a school-based literacy team if you only have the innovation happening in one place, but determine the team that's going to go ahead and be a part of this. And you want to have more than one person because the more minds you have, the more accurate your indicators and your rankings are going to be. Okay, so during the use, you want to review and discuss the questions for each indicator. And I'm going to go through that in just a second. After the discussion, as a team, you want to rate each component on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the most proficient. You want to use using discussion notes and ratings, you want to make determinations for next steps going forward. So if you look through all the different components and you decide that you have a 5, a 5, a 5, a 2, and a 3 or something like that, look back at that 2 to determine, is there something you can do to strengthen that and bring it up to a 5? Or is there something that needs to change inside of the innovation or the program in order to make it more successful? All right, so these are the different components of the hexagon analysis tool. You have evidence, usability, supports, need, fit, and capacity. Okay, so the green pieces kind of speak to the actual program, what it is that you're using. And then the blue half speaks to your site. What is your site's capacity? What is the need there? What is the fit there? Is this program a good fit for here? Because sometimes just because a program is really successful doesn't mean that you have a need for it at your campus, or doesn't mean it's a good fit for your campus, your district. So it's really important to look at all 6 of the areas. And if you have questions at any point, stop me and ask me. All right. So after you've looked at that, you go ahead and you pull, and I'm going to show you what discussion questions look like in a second, but you're going to list the facilitators on the sheet, the individuals participating in the assessment, the date, and the practice that's being assessed. After you go through the different discussion questions in each page, you're going to pull those scores and you're going to add them to this overall sheet. And then you're going to have an average for each area. And you can look at different practices within the same times, like I'm saying. So program or practice 1 could be your innovation. Program or practice 2 could be if you have a family engagement piece, or if you have an intervention piece, or if you're trying to do something in core, you want to have those different pieces. You want to look at all of them. Okay, so this is an example of one indicator. This particular indicator is evidence. The discussion questions are at the top, okay? And it recommends that before you even use this, you read through. So you determine what you need to come to the meeting with. But then once the meeting is in session, you're going through the questions together as a group. And then you come down to the bottom and you determine the rating. Is there high evidence for this particular program? Is there no evidence for this particular program? For the purposes of the innovation, all of them have high evidence. But if you're looking at different pieces of your programs, like the intervention piece and the family engagement piece, you want to look to see what is the evidence there for those particular ones. Okay. And you're going to go through each one and you can decide if you want each person to read it individually and then have a discussion. If there's going to be a facilitator that's reading the questions out loud and discussing them out loud, you can determine how you want the meeting to flow. And then you're going to put your rating up at the top and then transfer that to that top page when you're finished. Okay. So after the discussion and the rating, you've discussed it, you've rated it. That's probably enough for one meeting. You might need to come back for a separate meeting. You want to determine what parts of the program are effective based on the indicator. So think about those, because you're going to take those that are a 5 and you're really going to let those be the focus when you're expanding the innovation to another campus. Okay. Then you want to determine what parts of the program could be more effective. If you have a place that's a 2 or a 3 or less, you really want to look at those as a team and determine what can you do to improve that particular indicator. And then as a team, you want to identify next steps regarding the parts that could be more effective. So if we're looking back at the overall, let's say that all the green are really good. I have great evidence, usability, and support happening here. There's definitely a need for it and it fits, but my capacity is a 2. Okay. Maybe the teachers need some more training around what's happening around the intervention piece. Maybe the leaders on the campuses need some more training and capacity so they can help coach the teachers into using it. As a team, you want to come together and kind of just start doing a needs analysis. What are different things we can do as a school or as a district to build capacity? What do the trainings need to look like? Who needs to be in charge of the trainings? What materials will we use? What will we use to look at to determine if the training is effective? Do I need to have surveys for the teachers to fill out? Do I need to have walkthrough forms for leaders to use to see if the capacity is growing? So you want to kind of just start asking yourself those questions as you look at the different pieces of it. Are there any questions so far? Okay. So next steps. After next steps have been identified, determine the following so that the expansion can occur next year in the added grade bands or the school sites. And these are different things that you want to consider in your next steps. Like I said, the materials, the structures. So this is something that I've really been putting a lot of thought and effort into. At the middle and the high level especially, we don't necessarily have structures for this work to occur. So do your structures need to change? Does it need to change what it looks like? What personnel do you have on these campuses and what's their capacity? What training and what data and tracking is required? Some of you have exceptional data and tracking happening. Some of y'all that may be an area that could grow a little bit. Maybe you do the data and tracking, but maybe the rest of the campus or the leaders could be a part of that work as well, so that you're building the overall project. Okay. So I'm about to put y'all in breakout rooms and I'm just going to randomize them this time. But these are the questions that you're going to answer. Who will be a part of your hexagon teams, a part of your teams for the hexagon analysis? Are you going to use your school-based team? Are you going to use your district literacy team? Is it going to be a completely other team? Like, who are you going to use? What areas do you foresee that you might need additional support? So before you even do the hexagon analysis, what are you kind of already seeing and looking to see what might be some areas that need some support going forward? And then just what other questions or comments do you have regarding that expansion piece? I'm just going to leave them up for just a second so y'all can see them before I put you in your breakout rooms. Okay, I'm going to put you in for 7 minutes because I definitely have to hop off at 11:40 on the dot today because I'm doing a school kit presentation. But if you still have questions after, I know y'all all feel comfortable reaching out to me. Please reach out to me and let me know if you have any questions, comments, or concerns after. Okay.
And we did, and we also did dibbles. So we're looking to see what's going to work in the middle schools. I'm middle and high school, so we were looking to see what was going to work. And I can say Jordan is our coordinator. Jordan was talking about the innovative assessment that we did in the middle and high school, which has been very successful. But we think it's been successful because the leadership and then the people that we're bringing in. So we're kind of looking at the leadership on what they're doing, and we're gonna do some different things in our meetings that's going to kind of complement that. But that was one of the things that we were doing, especially we were doing a hectagon, trying to make sure that what we were doing in those meetings kind of correlate back into the school. So we did the lecture power up, we did evaluate that, and then we went out to the school and we talked about it in the school, and now we implemented. But we did have RTI contract workers that we had hired with the CLSD UIN grant, and that was very helpful in the school. So we saw sufficient evidence of growth in those areas.
Okay, I can go a little bit. Can you guys hear me?
Mhm.
Okay. Who will be a part of the team for the hexagon analysis? We'll probably have a couple different teams, because we'll probably do our district literacy team, as well as we'll do one with our just the literacy innovation team, which is kind of like Miss Pierre and I, our part-time coaches, things like that. And then we'll also kind of scale it down to the instructional leadership team at the school. So we'll probably try to hit like those 3 different teams to do the hexagon analysis tool. I was trying to look to see like what are the areas that I foresee maybe additional support with.
We can list high school, Bridget. Just going forward. We can list.
Yes.
Yes.
Definitely high school. Definitely that middle
Yes.
high school piece. We will definitely need additional support with that one. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. I forgot about that with the expansion. So, yeah. And we'll definitely reach out if we have any
I'm here.
questions or help.
Yes.
Yeah. But I think that's about it.
For us, our team that's looking at the tool will probably be a lot of like what Bridget said. I will start with my interventionist and my leadership in the schools that we're working in, so that they can all have input, because those are the areas that we've been doing the most work in. And then probably what I'll do is, after I meet with those individual school sites, I'll bring that to the district literacy team, and then we will use their discussion info and what they came up with and see what we come up with and look at the matches. So that way we can have a good collaboration from the school sites into the district level to put it all together to make sure we're having the most accurate and efficient information that we can. And our support moving forward, so on that team, and then I forgot my other area. Oh, the areas that we want to go into. I really, from our early childhood, is the place that I really want to start, is looking at what we can do in the early childhood to grow everyone's, I guess, knowledge around what, as far as where we're going. If we don't grow that knowledge starting in the early childhood, and what does kindergarten ready look like? What are we using our DRDP for? What does that really look like? That's one place we've really found that we need to build some knowledge around, as what is the state looking at as far as kindergarten readiness, and how can we support leaders and teachers in understanding what that means and where they need to start. And then that's one place that I can say I know that we need work in. That's something I've really been looking at, and looking at the data around that to prove my point as far as what we have to do there. And then moving into, we're actually looking at students coming out of 8th grade into high school. Where do we need to support our freshman students in high school to really finish that work that we've been doing in middle school?
Thanks for sharing, Stacey. One thing that I love, my initial inclination was to say to have these literacy teams for the hexagon analysis tool only at the district level, but they're not boots on the ground. They don't know what it looks like inside of the school. So I love that both EBR and Alan are both looking at it to see like what do all, and the meetings might look a little different, right? But I love that you're really trying to see what's happening inside of the schools to make those decisions. It's going to make it more successful. Y'all keep chit-chatting. I think we're almost out. I'm gonna go bounce into the next room and see if they need anything.
And it's really, exciting. It's very exciting.
I remember the third question. It was whether or not we had any lingering questions. That's what it was.
Who did y'all say was going to be a part of y'all's teams? Because we had an interesting discussion in the other one.
Our
We
team.
said, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
We were just talking about how we thought, I was telling them that I would like to get more parental support in it. And Antoinette was telling us about how they're using it right now and they see a success. It's very successful. So I wish we would go that route also.
I love that. My initial inclination was to have these hexagon analysis just at the district level, but then you don't get boots on the ground opinion. You don't know what's really happening inside of the schools and what's successful. And then flip side, EBR and Allen are really pulling that parent engagement piece in, and both are having a lot of success doing that. So I love that y'all are considering that too. Love that. I'm gonna bounce back into the main room.
This meeting is being recorded.
All right, guys, just to wrap us up, I spent most of my time in room one because I was hearing good things. I didn't want to leave yet. But something that was talked about in both was the hexagon analysis tool, the meetings. Room one talked about having them at different levels, the district level, the school level. And then room two was even talking about having a parent advocate or parent advocates in those as well. So, just frame your meetings appropriately. If you have different stakeholders in them, think about what it might sound like. You might not have the entirety of every single discussion question in a parent one, but I love having the parents' input behind what's happening, because then buy-in is happening all the way from the top to the very bottom of the whole program, which just ensures success at the different level. Is there anything else you shared in your different rooms that you want to either voice, or a question that you have that we want resolved before we just go over last minute housekeeping things? Okay. Let me go ahead and pull this up. Okay, so just FYI, the last unit of the fire lessons, unit 3, is now available on the literacy library. So that is their units 1, 2, and 3 for fire. Lift Library will be having some updates soon too for middle and high. Those supports are coming and different screeners are coming there. And then these 2 series are complete and up there, Lift in middle and high, and then the science of reading for the paraprofessionals and support staff. If you haven't already seen those are all live. Upcoming events, session 4 is our next School Support Institute. It's a virtual, the week of March 1st, 9 to 12. So I will see you all virtually for that one. I am canceling our UIN office hours for March because I'll see you all virtually that week. As I feel like y'all are very comfortable contacting me though now with any questions or concerns. Please don't hesitate to reach out. Y'all have my phone number, my email, whatever. Just reach out and ask if you have any questions about the project. And then our next COP, instead of being the 2nd Friday in March, it's going to be the 3rd Friday in March, because Plain Talk is that week. And a lot of you are going to Plain Talk. I will be at Plain Talk as well. So hopefully I get to see you guys there. And we will be talking about scaling the innovation and some next steps. We may or may not have, I'm thinking about canceling our April COP because we will be smack dab in the middle of testing. I might schedule just some one-on-one conversations with each of you just to determine, are you okay? Do you need anything? That kind of thing. But I think we're good for that. I think we will have a May one just so I start you off on a good page to start the innovation rolling at your different campuses for the next year. But if you need me, please don't hesitate to reach out. Who's going to Plain Talk? 1, 2, 2. Okay. Plain Talk is fabulous. I don't know if registration's still open, but get on that. Oh, last thing I want to talk about. I have Stacy Good. So I'll see all of you there. I'll only be there Friday because they did the national convening for this the Monday through Thursday of that week. So I won't be able to be there Thursday. But Teacher Leader Summit registration is open. And they opened today actually is when the opening is to register for different presentations. All of you have exceptional work happening in your district or on your campus. So consider presenting. If there's something you want to run by me, if you have questions about something, let me know. I'm hosting 4 sessions myself, so I will definitely be there and helping to facilitate. And any questions, comments, or concerns about that, I'm listening for that too. Stacy, get with me so we can talk about what you could potentially do. Yeah. EBR, I would love to hear some of your parent engagement things happening because that's something that's a request from the whole state is strengthening that family engagement piece. It can always be stronger. We can talk about that too. And if you don't feel comfortable presenting, I'll put a presentation hat on somebody and they'll present it. Anything else? Nope. Okay. Well, y'all are truly exceptional and I truly appreciate each and every one of you. And I'm so proud to be a part of this work with you. If you have anything, let me know. But other than that, have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.